Hello. Chapter 6, Critical Thinking Questions, video response. Number 1 states some studies cited in this chapter involved only one or a few participants. Select 2 of these studies and discuss the possible problems in drawing conclusions based on results from so few of the participants. And B, suggest several possible explanations for the findings other than those proposed by the researchers. So the first study that I wanted to talk about was a study on duration by Peterson and Peterson in 1959, where the participants were shown 3 constants such as h, g, and L, and then asked to count backwards by threes from a given number, 738, 753, 732, and so on, after intervals lasting from 3 to 18 seconds. Participants were instructed to stop counting backwards and recall the 3 letters. Following a delay of 9 seconds, the participants could recall an average of only one of the 3 letters. After 18 seconds, there was practically no recall whatsoever. The 18-second distraction had completely erased the 3 letters from short-term memory altogether. I think in this case a possible problem from using too few participants is that maybe those few people all failed the test miserably, and there could have been others who did well on the test with a better short-term memory. But not having a wider range of participants, this test could be considered not credible. I believe with more participants in this testing, like I said, there could have been a lot more people with better short-term memory, where the counting down by threes might not have affected them as much as the participants that was used in this test. Some explanations for this test is maybe the participants all had bad memory, or had a hard time focusing on what they were supposed to be doing, or maybe their short-term memory was somehow interrupted during the testing. The second study of Hermann Ebbinghaus and the curve of forgetting, and the problem with this is this testing is that he only conducted it on himself. He could have become biased over the results or biased over the testing itself, unknowingly. Subconsciously, maybe he did this test in an effort to gain the correct answer that he wanted to start with. So it could have been biased either way. He also stated that the same time it was done at the same time in the same surroundings, which might have made him more comfortable to begin with. But maybe this eliminated distractions, but could not also become the distraction itself. Basically, he got so comfortable in these surroundings where it was the same place, same time, that maybe that in itself altered the results of the testing, as to where if you would maybe placed him, or he placed himself at a different time, maybe he did it once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once at night in a different room or a different setting, that might have altered the testing as well, or the results as well. He might have got different results. Knowing where and when you're doing this testing could play tricks on your mind as well. Some explanations for this test is maybe that the nonsense syllables were more or less meaningful to him than that of a random participant. Who knows what those letters may have meant to other participants just by using, but by just using himself, it was not a thorough test, I believe. There might have been enough participants, or maybe that one person, that could have altered the actual final details and outcomes from those random letters. They might have meant something to somebody else besides himself. You don't know unless you actually try it. But since he just did the test on himself, the results could be skewed that way. And my plan to help improve my memory is to specifically repeat test myself. They talked about the repeat testing, the repeat quizzes in here, and how it's proven to better your test scores. That's why you guys tell us to take the quizzes at the end of the book or at the end of the chapters and all that stuff, because it's proven to work. So I will continue to specifically repeat test myself on the material I'm studying in school, because there's been so many instances that I wrote down here where I know the material, but I just can't recall it. So I think if I keep doing that repeat testing, it'll finally sink in and I'll actually remember it then. An example was this last test. I scored an 80 on it, but in my mind, I thought I answered every single question correctly. Every single question that I went through, I was very confident in my answer, but ended up getting an 80. So obviously, I was wrong on that account. And that rarely happens where I take a test where I think I know exactly every answer when it comes to my general education classes. In the graphic design classes, it's a little bit different. I studied harder on this test I wrote down than any other test in the last 6 months, and that's absolutely true. But obviously, I still got 20% wrong. Yet the graphic design portion of my school comes without effort, like I mentioned a couple moments ago. It's like I know it before it's instructed, or everything makes sense to me. But the general education classes are much more work for me. I think maybe if I used a little motivating forgetting on my bad quizzes, assignments, and such, that the bad part of the learning process and remembering for those quizzes will be out of my mind then if I use that the motivating forgetting aspect of it. Also, to write more notes in class and while I'm reading has already helped me tremendously. I've continued to make my daily lists and things I've accomplished and need to complete, as well as keeping everything in order with the fancy iPhone calendar I wrote down. With the advent of technology, there are absolutely no excuses, minus an act of God or a tragic accident at that, where it should keep you from being prepared. And obviously, this could increase your memory in life. So that's chapter 6. I've covered the 2 questions in there. Thank you.